The fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
The headlines from this week's digital weekly edition of the Fisherman magazine, New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition. We got some reported speckled trout out of Atlantic City. Of course, the tog limits go up at the Jersey Shore, 5 fish per person this week. But I got to tell you, the top headline, the big story this week is that Jersey Shore striper run. The 2022 run is absolutely lights out. I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine, and it's been Nat Geo conditions. They're in effect this week. In the surf along the North Jersey coast in particular, bunker in tight on Sunday, just before the sun poked through the clouds and the winds turned hard from the west. But epic is the only way to put it. Monmouth County, I ain't saying where, but plenty of folks found it. In fact, I bumped into a lot of guys from Pensy, LBI, Galloway, Summers Point, a good indication of just how good the conditions are and how far folks are traveling to get into it. Some dead sticking did make things a little messy when the water started frothing with hungry bass on bunker. But those throwing artificials, the bucktails, swim shads, metal lips, gliders, poppers, and pencils, each presentation seemed to have its moments, depending on the conditions. Now, as winds came offshore hard to start this week, those bunker were nosing in underneath and putting them right at the shoreline, and in many instances chasing peanuts right up onto the sand. Now, if you're on fish like this, you can expect to be joined by a few friends. It's the very nature of blitz fishing, and everyone needs to work together. Keep some respectful spacing in between the other casters, and expect to tangle here and there. It's just bound to happen. Be respectful, courteous, and above all else, have a little patience. In some situations, a northeast or east blow will whip the bass into a frenzy in the surf. But I'm of the belief, however, this time of year, when we're looking at peanuts or adult bunker or those tweeners, the ones that aren't peanuts and they're not adults, what Nick Onicheski refers to as the cupcakes, well, they're going to swim in tight to the beach, nose up under those west-northwest winds, which creates these lights out conditions. Conditions like we've seen for the past week. Conditions that, according to NOAA weather, we are going to see in consecutive days ahead right up through the weekend. So while northern Monmouth has been on fire of late, I'll expect we start seeing similar action down into southern Monmouth, where I am now, in Seagirt, all the way down into Ocean County, past Manasquan, and hopefully Barnegat Inlet as well. This weekend will be a bellwether as far as that's concerned. But again, without going into specifics, the North Country of the Jersey Shore has been amazing. And folks like Rebecca Bartolo, who said she had the biggest fish of her life in northern Monmouth County on Sunday during the ebb and flow of those bunker blitzes. Rebecca caught and released this 46-incher on a no live bait needed plastic, NLB end. Nice job. Rebecca said, quote, "It was an epic fight. I was all the way down to mono. And with the coaching of my friend Nick, I was able to pull her in. My Stratic reel felt like it was locking up due to the size of this beauty. My Alberto knot held up as she fought." She said she was safely released. Rebecca said, "I've been fishing for about 5 years now. I'm still shaking." Rebecca, I've been fishing for 55 years, and I don't know how many times in my life I've ever seen these type of conditions this 2022. For comparison's sake, check the photos in your phone. This is a video I took a year ago this week in southern Monmouth County, right along this stretch, not far from here. The fish were a tad smaller in the mix, but we're kind of on schedule in terms of this run compared to last year. It's just a better mix of fish right now, from unders to overs and enough slots in between to keep a lot of folks very happy. Again, the weather forecast for the next few days screams sick day. I'm feeling it now. Much of the best surf action continues to be in the non-buggy country. But of course, beach buggy access starts around Brick. So I'm expecting that we're going to see a few fish hitting that stretch all the way down this weekend. I think it's lights out. I think it's gangbusters. That's my prediction. Let's hope it rings true. I know, honestly, we've had a rather weird dynamic with this fishery of late in recent years. Most of the times, it seems that once that mass of madness hits Barnegat, those fish start to swim southeast almost, bypassing Atlantic and Cape May County. So let's hope this sustained west-northwest blow will funnel bait out of the inlets. You think Absecon and Great Egg, because there's a lot of fish in the back bays. So hopefully a lot of that bait starts moving in, and if they're pushing in tight to the beach, who knows? Who knows where these big fish, too, are going to come barreling across that 3-mile line, because I think a lot of these fish are out east. So we just got to hope that we get some fish in tight to South Jersey this year. Let's hope this is the year. Needless to say, if you have a boat, you have an edge, right? And that counts too as we continue through 2022 all the way into December, down into Cape May County and the folks in Delaware. But right now, I know that's the case in North Jersey as well. Northern Monmouth County and into Raritan Bay. Jack Famularo had some catch and release fun aboard sauerkraut on the Raritan. Boats out of Shark River, Manasquan, and Barnegat can expect the same thing in the days ahead. In fact, it was funny, on Sunday I saw boats screaming out of Manasquan to go up to North Jersey. I saw my buddy Dave DeGennaro from the High Flyer. He made the run all the way from Barnegat up to Northern Ocean County. Hopefully that doesn't have to be the case for everybody this weekend, and these fish are spread out along the Ocean and Monmouth County stretch. Now, Bobby Matthews at Fisherman's Den in Belmar probably put it best this week. He sent me an email and said, "The words you hear most to describe the fishing: incredible, crazy, or best ever." Bobby said the surf fishermen had fish from Sandy Hook to Manasquan. They're moving fast in and out. "This is some of the best fishing in years," Bobby said. "Don't wait, get out before Mother Nature pulls a trick on us." Hopefully the only trick she pulls on us this weekend is she stays true to the forecast. Again, I'm thinking west winds are really going to light things up. And again, as far as Atlantic and Cape May counties, field editor Anthony Califano, in his weekly reports at thefisherman.com out on Monday, he said this: "The back bay striper bite is simply on fire for anglers using artificials and light tackle. Tog fishing cannot be beat, as anglers are catching fish from bridges, sodbanks, jetties, and the local wrecks and reefs. Sea bass fishing has also been good on the inshore wrecks and reefs, and simply outstanding at the deeper offshore wrecks." We'll have more to report on the tog action, I know, in next week's video forecast and in our reports next week at thefisherman.com. We need a couple of days of feedback here, middle of the week, in rather windy conditions, and with that swell, that's the opening of the 5-fish limit in New Jersey. But I hope that by the weekend, you tog fanatics, we're going to get some really good reports from you guys. The tog tournament down out of Lewis, of course, Lewis, Delaware. That's at Lewis Harbor Marina. They've had better tog limits in Delaware than we have in New Jersey. But that tog tournament at Lewis Harbor Marina comes to a close this weekend. Right now, Captain Brett Wiest is currently in first place with a 15.6-pound fish, and in third place with a 9.68-pound fish. Hopefully the weather forecast holds through the weekend, and we see a good run against Captain Brent. No disrespect, but we want to see some more fish. Now, out of One Stop Bait and Tackle comes what I told you before, that first report of speckled trout in South Jersey. No photos, no details, but that's the way speckled trout hunters are apt to be. Luckily, we had one of them, Frank Rosinski, has shared some of his secrets on speckled trout in the last few years. So yeah, 'tis the season right now, but if you still have the September edition of the Fisherman magazine, New Jersey, Delaware Bay, in your house, make sure you check out Frank's article. It's on page 32. And if you don't have the magazine lying around, go to thefisherman.com and just do a search in the search bar at the upper right. On the hunt for spotted trout. You can get some details, tactics, and tips from Frank, who's typically closed mouth about his trout catches. It's easier, of course, if you are a subscriber with username and password. Then you get everything at thefisherman.com. You get access to all the goodies that are over there. And, of course, automatic entry into the Fisherman Magazine's Dreamboat Fishing Challenge. We are in the final days, 2 weeks to go in this contest season. Let's see if we have any updates on the leaderboard. Take it away, Tim.
And now for the Fisherman's Dreamboat Challenge standings as of November 17th. We are just 14 days away from the dramatic conclusion. We start out with a new tautog first place entry by Bill DaCosta of Massapequa, New York. His 13.65-pound beast combined with his previous 5th place fluke entry gives him 16 points and gets Bill a spot on the standings board, pushing Dean Paella off the board. First place contestant Sam Dibner now has 42 points. Second place contestant Rob Carazano has 23 points. And third place contestant Garrett Weir has 19 points. We also confirmed the October Fish of the Month, which is Bluefish. Sam Dibner's 16.75-pound Blue Dog clinches the October prizes. Stay tuned. Who will win? Will the standings change? Come back next week for another update. And for the Coastal Kayak Clash, there are no new entries, so it's still Justin Oster in first, Bob Wagner in second, and Tom Howd in third.
In terms of your subscriptions, don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube video here as well. Click the bell so that you can get alerts, and subscribe for notifications. You get this every single week, and if there are any updates via YouTube, you'll get notified on your computer or your smartphone. It is easy, and by all means, like this video and participate in the discussion in the thread below. I love that. You know, a lot of these stripers right now are being released this week the last couple of weeks, due to the sheer numbers of stripers being caught. And in the mix, there's quite a few overs as well as the unders. But keep in mind some of the things that you can do to protect those fish from further damage after release. If you're throwing lures with trebles, consider tamping down the barbs or even switching over to singles. The BKK Lone Diablos, for example, a very good option if you want to swap out those trebles. Keep them away from the dry sand. We don't want shake and bake, right? No need for measurement and photo of every fish you catch. Put them back quickly. Head first into the wash, as John Tiedemann from Monmouth University displays for us here. No kicking these fish down the sand and hoping they're going to roll into the water. Let's take care of these fish. Let's try to do what we can to lower the mortality rate, because they assume that 9% of the stripers we release will die. 9% mortality. That means if you catch 100 stripers and release them, 9 of those fish die. So let's do what we can to protect those fish after release. On the other hand, if you're looking to load up for dinners in the next several weeks, so you're looking at Thanksgiving and the holidays, you want a lot of fish in the refrigerator, well, the head boats continue to sail, as I mentioned, for sea bass and especially porgies as well. The Dauntless out of Point continues to go to the wrecks for sea bass. There's a mix of cocktail blues in the mix as well. Plenty of sailing options for you, from Sandy Hook inside the Bayshore, Atlantic Highlands and Highlands, all the way down to Cape May and across into Lewis and Indian River as well. Some tournaments to talk about in the region coming up. But first, let's spend 90 seconds out west with my friend George, the Pocono Outdoors Guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. What a difference a week makes, huh? This time last week, we were talking about 70-degree temperatures, great fishing weather. This week, well, I got to trade in my fishing rod for, well, snow shovel and some ice melt. But that's the way it goes. Seasons change. You got to make the best of it. You know, there's not a whole lot happening. We had that hurricane go through, really messed things up over the past week for a lot of guys trying to get out. It was cold. It was wet. It was really windy up in this area. So conditions weren't ideal for getting out in the water. A couple guys did stick it out, and they were successful. My friend Rich Bates was up on Lake Ariel throwing a husky jerk, and he got into a couple really chunky largemouths. You wouldn't think of that for this time of year. Picked them up in about 2 feet of water in the weeds, so that was really good to see that pattern develop. Also managed to get himself a couple really nice pickerel. Now we move over to the Delaware River, and Tim Keebler from Fin Seeker Guide Service, well, he's still taking customers out for smallmouth, and he's crushing it. You know, lots of guys are getting good limits, so it's some good fishing out there, guys. You just got to brave the elements to do it. Well, I hope you guys get out and get on them. It's a little short this week, but from Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors Guy.
The Jersey Coast Shark Anglers have their striped bass tournament this Saturday and Sunday with weigh-in at Captain Bill's in Point Pleasant. You can get striper fever details at the Friday night captain's meeting at the club headquarters. That's on Herbertsville Road in Brick, or call Rick Carroll at 732-773-3409. You also have the Community Fire Department's Tog Masters tournament this Saturday, November 19th, with 2 weigh stations, one up there in Leonardo, the other in Shark River. For details on that TOG tournament for the Community Fire Department, call 732-291-0124. Of course, there are ongoing tournaments all season long that you can still participate in. You've got the LBI Surf Fishing Classic on LBI. That goes through December. The Atlantic County Surf Derby also goes into December. You've also got these shops that have their individual tournaments, right? Michael Radigan picked up a $50 gift card from Andy at Riptide Bait and Tackle last week for the first keeper of the season. That was caught on a Riptide rodder. Other word from Brigantine, Andy wanted me to remind folks that the Brigantine Elks Lodge will be holding their annual Fall Striper Classic from November 18th through the 20th. That benefits the Brigantine Elks programs. The 3-day around-the-clock event will once again have categories for both boat and surfcasters alike. Cash prizes awarded to first, second, and third place finishers in each division. Again, visit Riptide Bait and Tackle. Go over and say hello to Andy for all the details on that event. Next week, it's going to be an early week for us with our video forecast because next week is Thanksgiving. So you'll get this video on Wednesday. It gives you one more day, a little bit of extra time to consider a Turkey Day weekend tournament. For example, Charlie's Bait and Tackle's 11th annual Surf Turkey Tournament in Ocean County. You can pick up details, your entry blank this week, right now. Go today to Charlie's Bait and Tackle in Normandy Beach, and especially think about the family you have coming in for the weekend from all over the place. Maybe the kids are coming in from college. What a great event you've got there. You've also got the one-day Paths tournament. That's being held in Atlantic City on Saturday, November 26th. The fishing area will be from the T-Jetty, and includes the T-Jetty, all the way to New Jersey Avenue. You can meet at 5 a.m. on Saturday the 26th at One Stop Bait and Tackle. That's when it all is going to kick off. For details, go to pathstournament.org. It's right there on the screen. You can also look up NJ Satfest. It's the same folks that brought that tournament to us last month there in Atlantic City. The West is the best in terms of bunker as a primary bait in the fall. Yes, I believe very strongly in that. Pushing bait out the inlets, nosing up against those offshore winds, coming in tight to the beach. We could use bait tight from the beach, from Sandy Hook down to Cape May, all the way as the season progresses. But like I've said, for the last week or so or more, the best bite, epic bite, incredible conditions has been in the North Country. We will see what happens. Make sure your gear is assorted correctly, Tommy. You can wait for the fish to come to you. You can look for this. I see this happening a lot in the next few days. Monmouth County for sure, probably down into Ocean County too as well. It's all this weekend ahead with those west winds. We shall see. I will see you on the beach, my friends, and I hope we are both greeted by that very image. Catch 'em up.